So, oh, sure. If I, I married Kathleen, um, and we're still very happily married. We had one child.
He's 36.
He's 36
Married.
and married, and he gave us our second grandchild last month in June. Yes, with a name very hard to remember. Eamon
Rory.
Eamon Rory. My wife's from Galway, so we had all those relatives to please. If that wasn't enough, they added, these young people do anything with spelling it. They added two N's at the name of Eamon, so in case if you get it right. So what else? Oh, I've been a history historian for the borough of Tenafly, New Jersey, and I'll be coming out with a book paid for by the borough, and the local history, and travel. I've one of the few people who have been to all 50 states, including the trips I took as a kid, with my parents. The last state, if you're curious, was North Dakota. And when I told them that, they weren't flattered. Like, why did you take so long from North Dakota? And then, I believe it's 39 countries, you count all those little islands in the Caribbean. But I've been to the Holy Land. I've been to, we've been to the Galapagos Islands. Those are the two places I'd recommend the most.
Okay, Dave, thanks. That's really great. Geez, guys, we've come a long way, haven't we? All right, next up, my good buddy, Dave Walsh. Dave, you're on. Unmute your mic if you have to. Geez, we connected. No,
Can you hear me?
Go. Yeah, I think so.
Don't mess.
We connected a long time ago. You were on a national circuit with you're promoting the family program for which you became extremely well known. And I'll never forget the trip that I made to Minneapolis with my son Ryan. He was playing in a hockey tournament, and you had this shower in the basement that was, I don't think any woman or girl has ever showered in that shower, but you told me and Ryan that this shower builds character, and he was like maybe 14 or 15, and he had to go in there and take that shower. Dave, yep. It's good, so good to see you.
One of the few who I've ever used that shower besides myself. Anyway, thanks for putting this together. It's such a treat to see everyone. When we gathered in Chicago 8 years ago, I was able to visit with some of you, but it's nice to see all of you again, and to see some of those who weren't able to be with us in Chicago. So I'll try to do a 3-minute recap, as I think is a good suggestion, Regis. As you'll recall, during the summer, we used to go to summer school, and so I decided to pursue my graduate degree in French at the University of Minnesota. So in 1969, spent summer in Minneapolis and really, really enjoyed it. After that, went back to Whitefriars Hall. And in the first week at Whitefriars Hall, Larry Tice said to me, I know this family called the Porters. I think you should come visit with us on a Sunday morning and go to Mass together, which I did. Well, one of the Porters was Monica, who is now my wife. So I left Whitefriars after first year of theology. And then, one of the things we decided was, well, where shall we live? Well, I really liked Minneapolis, so I suggested Minneapolis. Came out in the winter so Monica could see it at its most infamous. She liked it. We moved in 1973. So we've been here 48 years. And Dale Panton and Bob, classmates Dale Panton and Bob Donnelly moved here as well. In case you don't know, Bob's second wife, Nancy, died last month, and her memorial service was last Saturday. And so I didn't finish my degree in French, but I did switch over to psychology and ended up getting a PhD in psychology. And my career as a psychologist involved a number of different things. And in addition to clinical work, also started writing back in the 1980s and experienced a little success with that. So 10 books later, my writing career is over. Monica and I celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary the 1st of May. We raised 3 kids, and a little bit unusual in our very mobile society, all 3 of our kids, Dan, Brian, and Aaron, live very close by. The farthest is 1.5 miles away. And so when I retired 10 years ago, we decided that coincided with the birth of our first grandchild. And so we've been doing multiple days every week, still do, of grandchild care, which is a real treat. Really enjoy that. We have 7 of them. Ages, the oldest is just on the verge of 12, and the youngest couple are 6. And so retired, as I said, 10 years ago. Have lived in Minneapolis for 48 years. It's a real treat to see everyone. And so I think that's probably my 3-minute recap.
Great, thanks, Dave. Brian Cody, you're up next. Turn your microphone on.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, fine. Really good to see you again.
Good. Hey, it's great to see all you guys again too, especially the guys from Boston last year, and guys from Chicago 8 years ago, and the guys who weren't able to make either one of them. It's great to see all of you guys again. And thanks again, Regis and Bob, for putting this together. This is really great. As most of you know, I was ordained in 1971 and spent 13 years at Mount Carmel in Houston teaching. Then I was transferred to Sal Point in Tucson, Arizona. And that's when I decided to leave the Carmelites. I spent a couple of years kind of going here and there and doing nothing. And eventually in 1989, I married my best friend that I met at Notre Dame, Mary Beth. We've been married now for 32 years. We don't have any kids. We're too old. So that's why I ended up teaching, so we could have all kinds of kids. I spent the next 5 years as a CNA in a nursing home. And during that time, I saw an ad in a local newspaper for an instructor at a local college, Cecil College in Maryland, to teach business writing and keyboarding back in the old days on the electric typewriter before the computers came out. At that particular time, that's when one of the rooms at the college was then switched over from typing to the actual computers. And I got on one of the computers one day and I fell in love with it. I really, really enjoyed the computer stuff. So I spent the next 25 years or 24 years teaching computers software at the local college, Cecil College. Basically in the continuing education department, which I really, really enjoyed, because these were people who were scared of the computer because they were older, they lost their jobs, they were truck drivers, and they'd never turned on a computer before. And fortunately, I was able to get them, where they kind of got liked it and they got them familiar with it. So that was really nice. I retired in 2009 from Cecil College. And between then and now, my wife and I have done a lot of traveling with our travel trailer. We've hit every province in Canada and only about 1/3 of the states. So I'm still behind Dave there. Only made about 1/3 of the states. Currently, my wife and I both are involved in our local parish, Resurrection Parish, doing all kinds of ministry. I'm in charge of the lector team. And also I do music with a couple of the music groups. So I'm still kind of involved with the parish a lot. About 2.5 months ago, I had a real medical scare. My wife and I were camping, and all of a sudden I had a tremendous gallbladder attack or gallstone attack. And I had gallstones that were so large they could not make it to the bile duct, and they got stuck in the bile duct. And I turned a real pretty shade of yellow. And I ended up spending about 3 weeks in the hospital. They were able to do 2 surgeries on me. One to get rid of the gallstones. I do that through the mouth. And then the second one to actually remove the gallbladder, and they did that laparoscopically. So I spent quite a bit of time in the hospital. And since then, last month and a half or so, I've been recuperating, trying to gain back the 25 pounds that I lost. So, it's been a wild ride for the past couple of months, but I'm doing much better now, and I feel a lot better. I'm not as tired as I used to be, as I was. So that's about my 3 minutes. Hopefully I caught you up with everything, and it's so good to see all you guys again. And yes, 20 in 2 more years. Okay.
Brian, maybe I missed it. Where are you living now?
Oh, Newark, Delaware.
Okay, great.
I should have mentioned that. Yeah, in Delaware.
Yeah, it's good to hear from you.
Yes.
Great story. We're going to go out to Arizona
Thank
now. Our good friend Bob Clark. Geez, been a long time. I was touring the country with my film. I think it must have been The Ghost of Jeju's, and I had a couple of gigs set up in Arizona, and one of them was in Tucson. And lo and behold, Bob, you showed up. What a great reunion that was. Take it away. Turn your microphone on.
What I was trying to say is that was a great time, that we had a great time at that function, and I'll always remember that. But I should have come better prepared to meet all of you handsome young gentlemen here. You guys all look great, and it's
cut the
really
baloney.
fantastic to see you. As Regis was saying here, I live just outside of Tucson, my wife and I. We've been here now 15 years. We moved here from Pennsylvania. She's not well. She has Parkinson's very badly, and she also has kidney issues. So I pretty much am her caregiver. And my kids, both my son, I have a son, David, and my daughter, Rebecca, I couldn't get rid of them. They followed me out here. They both live close to the Tucson area. And I have 4 grandchildren. My son, David, has a little boy, Nemia, and of course he's married, his wife Sabine, and he has a little girl named Ava Marie. And then my daughter has a boy, Luke, he's about 9 years old, and then Emma, who is about 7 years old. So fortunately, they all live very close to me, and my wife. And when I left Whitefriars, I went back to New Jersey, where my parents were, and a number of my family, brothers and sisters. And I decided not to go back into teaching. Although I will tell you, I've said this many times to others, the skills I learned from the Carmelites have helped me tremendously throughout my life. And I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, will agree to that. So I went into the insurance and financial services industry. I worked for Travelers Insurance for a while, and then I spent most of my career with Prudential Financial, and I worked both nationally mainly on the mid-Atlantic states, and then I worked several years internationally. I worked in Japan, and then I helped open up a subsidiary financial services company for Prudential in Argentina. Worked in Spain for a while as well. And then I spent 2 years opening up a subsidiary in Poland, where I was chief marketing officer and senior vice president at the time. And I just decided I was at a point where I just wanted to come back to the States, and so did my wife. And I decided to retire at that time. So I've been retired for a few years now. I Mostly what I'm doing, as I said, it's pretty much centered around helping my wife right now and my kids and grandkids, but I have been very active with the Knights of Columbus. I was their membership chairman for a number of years. One of the favorite things I've done with them is that every year we have a St. Patrick's Day raffle and I should say auction. It's really an auction and a dinner, maybe 200-300 people. And I've had the good fortune to be the MC for that function for a number of years, and I've really enjoyed it. Last year we didn't have it because of COVID, of course, but that has been, I've enjoyed that tremendously. Right now, I actually got 2 of my grandchildren here. They're in another room. I'm watching them right now. So I've kind of kept in touch mainly with Bob Donnelly and with John Prusik and Seamus O'Halloran. I don't see them here today, but it's been fun kind of keeping in touch and finding out how others are doing. My wife and I got to go to the reunion 8 years ago. I was supposed to go, when was it, a year or so ago, and she just couldn't do it, and I didn't want to leave her. So I kind of canceled my plans to go on the trip. So again, it's great to see all of you and to see all of you doing so well. So this brings back a lot of happy memories. So thank you.
Great. Thanks. Thanks, Bob. Really good to reconnect this way. Guy Gramala, you're up next, and you have figured out how to use Zoom. Congratulations, my friend. There you go.
I'm glad I did. Thanks for all the help. Otherwise, I'd be sitting somewhere and not knowing anything. For me, as far as life, I take it back. I left seminary at senior year and went into the Brothers and stayed with them, got transferred around and got an assignment in Milwaukee to help build a seminary out of an apartment building, which went very well. I really enjoyed it. Somewhere along the line, I met Judy DuPont, who fortunately became my wife. And I left the order. She's an RN, retired now. I have 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls. Think about 7 or 8 grandchildren. It's nice they're all in the area. They're all within the Milwaukee area, which is good. So I get a chance to see them quite often. As far as career, after I left the order, I was working in different places in terms of engineering or maintenance, whatever you want to call it. Ultimately, I spent 20 years at Marshall Field, if anybody knows that. Now it's Macy's. And retired from there in 2010. In 2012, I had interesting medical problems. I had a heart transplant. And let me tell you, it's working great. I'm still here. As far as activity, I let myself go. I didn't really get into a lot of stuff. Almost going to be a couch potato. I'm kicking myself for that, but that can change. That can change. Overall, things have been going pretty well. I'm really glad to see you guys. And Reed, thank you so much for putting this thing together.
Great, Guy. Thanks so much. Bob Wechter, we're coming to you now. Unmute your microphone. Unmute the microphone.
Got it, guys. Got it. You know, with 12 here, we could probably all unmute and just kibitz. I was wondering how many were on your list, Reg, because I was surprised there were only 12. I thought there might be more, although
we had 21, actually 21. And I thought a few more guys were going to be here tonight, but unfortunately must have had other commitments. Go ahead, Bob.
I saw Dale gave his regrets.
Right.
He had something else to do, but yeah, it's kind of like, I guess it takes COVID to introduce everyone to Zoom and figure out this is an easy and nice way to meet and do nice things rather than having to travel so many, I just got on a plane a couple of weeks ago for the first time in 24 months, it seems. And travel used to be an adventure. Now it's an ordeal. and it's lugging bags and sitting on cramped planes. It's amazing. But I was, I luckily found your email, Reg. Saturday, I was going through all my emails. I accumulated 1,000 or so. So I cull them and delete them. And I ran across your name and I said, what's this? And that's how I'm here today. I happened to find it, and I had missed it because you get too many, crappy emails, and I sometimes let them accumulate before I try to delete them all, and I happened to see it, so that was good. But I was curious how many people had RSVP'd maybe, or even indicated that they would like to be here but couldn't. Historically speaking, I guess, I left after high school, after Hamilton, and I had 1 year at Purdue University, the local campus in Indiana. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, well, maybe you guys can correct. No, it was after that, I believe. I was only 1 year in college. I went back to a 5th year while you guys were all at novitiate. And then after novitiate, I came back and had 1 more year, 3rd year at Niagara with my high school class, which was all you guys. And then I left again finally and finished my bachelor's at Indiana University. And then, and I think it was after that there was the fire at Niagara, I believe. That year or so after that, because I remember being at home and hearing it on the news, and then contacting whoever was still around in Niagara to find out what happened, and there was a fire there. And then I was to be drafted, which was something I wasn't looking forward to. So I taught grade school for a couple of years while I deferred my Michigan law school while I taught, and then I won the draft lottery, and had a big high number, 343 or something like that, and promptly quit teaching and I went to law school and graduated in 73, I guess. Been practicing law pretty much ever since, both the litigation here in Los Angeles, both defense firms, and for the last 20 years or so, I've been on my own as a plaintiff attorney. Still plugging along, not as efficiently or as busy, but still having cases that I handle and clients I deal with. Been married twice. First wife shortly, got married late, I guess, primarily, and didn't have any children after the first wife. And then the second, I have been married about 15 years and have 2 stepdaughters. One that lives nearby with a child, and the other one lives in Zurich and just left yesterday after a couple, 3 weeks. She was here to advise friends and relatives that she was pregnant. So she's due in November, and lives in Switzerland with her husband, who is an IT guy for Accenture, I think, and does a lot of work there. So, I've been in LA ever since, and was happy to visit. 8 years ago, it was nice to visit everyone and see everyone. I remember John Pushik put that thing together. It was a wonderful time, and I didn't make the last one, 3 or 4 years ago. I know that the class I was in novitiate with had a reunion. Remember Rocky Robinson? He was spearheading that, and they had one at Hamilton. No, not Hamilton, excuse me, Baltimore. They had a reunion in Baltimore that I didn't make either. So this is a great way to, not once every 3 or 4 or 5 years, but shoot, every other month. I'm surprised. I was shocked. Surprised you're in Russia, Reg. Expecting to speak the language. So I'm still here and healthy and doing well, and good to see everybody.
Yeah.
I remember, Bob's on. I haven't seen you forever. It's funny, and everybody else was at the last reunion except Phil. I don't know Phil. Phil, you were there at a time when I wasn't. So, but everybody else was, I think, except for Bob, was at the Chicago reunion. So that's it, fellas.
Great. Bob, great to see you again, really. And we certainly can do this. I'm willing to host this as long as, even just a handful of guys. But I can tell you there were 23 guys that I had on our classmate mailing list. And there are several who I thought they were going to be here. So for those of you who have reached out to some of the guys that I didn't know and have sent me their emails, get back to them and hopefully invite them, encourage them to join us, because this is really a cool thing. I have said for a long time, that some guys have mentioned before, the education that we got was, I have to say now, looking back, at world class. I went to Rome and I had a great education there, but it really prepared us, I think, for what was going to come ahead, and that especially speech class. Brian Cody, remember the speech class? We had to get up and learn how to speak in front of public. Now, we became priests, we became PhDs traveling the country, we became doctors, we became attorneys, we became administrators of hospitals, professors, the whole thing. And I think for me, a lot of it went back to, those years we spent together. And the other thing I think that it did, in spite of the fact we haven't all been connected over all these years, it did create a bond. And I think for me, I felt that the whole time. So we're going to go down to Pennsylvania. Louis Horvath, turn your microphone on. It's good to see you.
How are you? Yes, I'm in Philadelphia, and Regis, I absolutely agree with you. I never forgot the experiences I had in high school and college, and the novitiate was really great. So when I left the seminary, it was right after the fire. It was at the year my father had died as well, and I wanted to take some time off to take care of my mother because my dad was 47. And my goal in life was to live beyond the age of my father. So I'm almost there. But anyway, I came to Philadelphia. I couldn't find a job in Western Pennsylvania. So I came here, found a job in a hospital, and then I went to graduate school at Temple. I got into the doctoral program, never finished the doctoral program because I didn't need to. I worked in health administration my entire career and was a hospital administrator primarily in addiction and behavioral health. And at the same time, one of the things I found very fascinating was I connected with St. Joe's University as an adjunct professor, and I've been teaching there as an adjunct for over 35 years. I teach graduate school law and ethics. And the last 8 years, I was in senior management at St. Joe's University, overseeing the graduate program. And with COVID in the last year, the university had been clobbered, so they lost a lot of money. So they cut about a dozen of us in senior management and gave all the responsibilities to the tenured faculty, and I was not tenured. So right now I'm in transition, I call it. I'm not in retirement. I don't think I want to retire. I like to continue working and making a contribution. I was married for over 40 years, and unfortunately it ended up in divorce recently. I have a son who lives in Alaska, and Regis, you should go there as well. It's a beautiful country, state. He's got 3 children. My daughter lives in Baltimore, Maryland. She has 1 child and is pregnant with another one. And one of the things I'd like to kind of get Larry's thought is, one of the things I just remembered was, if you remember, the musical group in the seminary and college was the Charmelites. Do you remember we used to go around to the nursing homes and sing? That was one of my claims to fame.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was really a good experience. But I really, and David, Brian and I connected, and I made a note, Brian, I'm going to give you a call or an email. Maybe we can get together. We went out to lunch a year or so ago. But it's great seeing everybody. And I'm jealous of Dave Wall with all your traveling around the countries and all the states. There was a guy who wrote a book he called The English Major, and I recently finished it. he wanted to visit every state and name the new model for the state. It's a very fascinating book. So that's kind of my story where I'm. If anyone wants to come, my office in the background is very similar to the White House, if you can see that. You're welcome to come to Philadelphia. I have you here, and no charge. Go out to dinner. So thank you.
Yeah, great, Louis. I was going to ask you what's with that virtual background. You know, the Oval Office.
That's why you can actually switch. At St. Joe's, I was in charge of both campus and online. I did a lot of graduate programs design and redesign. So we had 525 students, and we did everything online. Had 300, 400 students online, and we did Zoom a lot.
Yeah.
I just want to add that I was at the last of the 2013 reunion and in Hamilton. I look forward to the next one. I'm not sure if you remember, Bob Zahn and I did a report in our sophomore year on Masters and Johnson. And I never knew why. So when I saw Bob in Hamilton, I now fully understand that he's got 7 or 8 children, right, Bob?
9.
Yeah, 9. Yeah. So I think I attribute that to our talk on Masters and Johnson. So that's my story.
But Bob, you need to clarify that. You did not father all 9 of those kids, did you?
One of the few books I read several times.
I did the psychological approach and he did the physical. I think if I had done the physical approach, I would be in the position he is. But at Regis, I never forgot you at your CB radio in Hamilton. Was that you?
No, that was not a CB radio. Come on now, that's insulting. That was ham radio, amateur radio.
That's right. It was never forgot that. When I saw your name, I said, I never forgot. I was so impressed with that.
Well, you know.
That was you and Dale, Regis.
Yeah, I got my license when I was in 8th grade back in Maine.
Wow.
And I still have it today, and I've been active all these years. And
wow.
Yeah.
And by the way, I wanted to invite Coach Curtin. He couldn't make it. He was, I think he agreed to. And Coach was at I think both of our last reunions and in Hamilton as well.
Yeah, and he did get the invitation. So maybe you can reach out to him.
I'll reach out to him.
And tell him how many guys would really like to see him.
Yeah, love it.
You know,
it was great. And at our dinner in Hamilton or Boston, he sang, what was it? The Star Spangled Banner. Does everyone remember that?
Oh, wow. No.
Yeah, very good singer.
We should do a Zoom with Hamilton stories only, remembrances, and
yeah,
we can. That's a really good idea.
Pat Gleason.
Oh well, you know, Dave Walsh and I have some backstory on Pat Gleason. We'll maybe share that another time. It's not private anymore. It's really out there in public, but it's not a happy story. Tom Vaughn. Well, you know, I see you're wearing a Boston Red Sox hat. I have one here I've had it in Russia, all over Russia. It's one of those expensive ones, you know, that's fitted, and I often wear it when I go out because, you know, the sun here is really hot. The UV is incredible. And the reason I wear the Boston hat is because I can't tell you how many people in Russia are walking around with a New York Yankees hat on, and it drives me crazy. And they have no idea what New York Yankees are. They just like that NY. So anyway, if I'd have known you were going to wear your hat, I might have put mine on too. Go ahead, Tom, take it away.
Got my Patriots too.
Oh my God. Well, I'm a Tom Brady fan, so I shifted from the Patriots down to Tampa Bay, but take it away.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's really great to talk to so many classmates and have memories of our 50th anniversary and the 55th that we had in Boston and Hamilton. Appreciate all those ones who came to the reunion that I planned and the one that Prusik and Seamus, I think, planned in Chicago. And I don't know about the one in Niagara. I haven't heard anything. I don't know who's going to plan that one, but it's not going to be me.
Come to Russia. Come to
I guess,
Russia. We'll have it in Russia.
I got my watch right here. I'll try to keep this to 3 minutes. But many of us are talking about what happened to us in our careers after we left the seminary. So when I graduated from Mount Carmel, the Carmelites gave us the option of going to like a station rather than going on to Whitefriars. I think Dave, you opted not to go also. And so I got, and I think Kevin Leafy, he got California, but I got Kentucky. I went to Louisville, Kentucky, and I taught at the Sales High School for a year. And that was very good experience. As everybody has indicated, the education that the Carmelites provided us was a very strong liberal arts education, writing, speaking, critical thinking skills, and you need all those skills in any profession that you go into. So I talked to the principal near the end. I told him I told people I wasn't going to go to Whitefriars, and then I applied to Boston University to major in geography at a graduate level. And I remember having a conversation with Larry Theis when we used to go back and forth between Niagara and the State University of New York at Buffalo. John Mitchell was driving the bus, and I would be doing some work out of my physical geography book. And I remember Larry, he was in literature, and I said, Larry said, Tom, what do you learn in earth science? And I said, oh, let me tell you. And I said, about the moon and the circumference of the world, the earth. And I said, oh, there's so many things, oceanography, meteorology, geology. And I was so enthusiastic about it. And so that's when I left the seminary, I wanted to major in it. So I majored in physical geography at Boston University. I was very fortunate when I got on the plane in Louisville. I left with the education that the Carmelites had given me, which was very good. And I think they gave me $50 in the plane ticket to go home. So when I arrived home with my mother, I went right to school the next day. I think I came home on the weekend, and summer school was starting that Monday. And luckily I got a full scholarship from Boston University for my graduate work. And then I got a job at a junior college, and that went under. It was because it was private, and all the state colleges were going at the time. So then I finally ended up in Arlington High School, and I had a teaching career there of 33 years teaching earth science, and I became the chairman of the science department. And during my teaching career, as many people have indicated, that we got this great education, and we're extroverted. I remember Father something Thomas, Peter Thomas. I remember calling
Peter Thomas Sherry.
Yeah, I think we called him Chrome Dome.
Yeah.
That public speaking was excellent. Matter of fact, I can remember the 3 speeches that I gave. I think sophomore year, I gave it on the Battle of Gettysburg. Remember we had to get up Saturday evening and give a 5-minute talk. And then I did my second one on the space program, the launching of a chimpanzee called Sam. And then the third one, my senior year, I gave a talk on hurricanes. You could sort of see where I was going in my career at Carmel. So then I taught in Arlington for 33 years, and I retired in 2004. But while I was at Arlington, I taught evening schools, sort of like Brian, in the continuing education department. So Northeastern University, they had a school called the College of Professional Studies. So I started teaching there in 1996 while I was at Arlington. And then when I retired from Arlington, I expanded it. And then there was a community college nearby, so I applied there and they hired me. So I've taught at UMass Lowell, UMass Dartmouth, and there's a Cambridge College, that's an adult college in Cambridge, now it's in Boston, Northeastern University. I also teach in New Jersey, as David knows. I teach in Trenton, New Jersey, Thomas Edison State University. So right now I'm teaching 6 courses. Matter of fact, as soon as I get off here, I got to go get my lessons together for tonight, send them out for the morning students for this coming week. And I guess, and then I won 13 major teaching awards, but the biggest one I won was back in 1983, when President Reagan wanted to eliminate the Department of Education, he had William Bennett was the Secretary of Education, and he commissioned him to do a study on education and why we should not have a department. So they did a program, they did a report called Nation at Risk. But the conclusion of the Nation at Risk was that we have very mediocre teachers, but we have a lot of good teachers. So they turned around and told Reagan, we really should celebrate some of the extraordinary teachers that we have rather than always be dumping on the teachers. So they founded this program called the Presidential Award for Teaching of Excellence in Science and Mathematics. And they pick two teachers, one math, one science, from each of the states every year. So I won that award in 1999, and I went to the White House. President Clinton invites you to the White House, and you have this ceremony, and you get this certificate from the National Science Foundation, and you get $10,000 to spend on your classroom. So, and then you can bring your significant other, and they wine and dine you for a week in Washington, which was very nice. Like one night we went to the Smithsonian. When the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum closed at 5 o'clock, they brought these buses of teachers in with their spouses and significant others, and then we had the whole museum to ourselves, and they gave us a cocktail meal event. And I remember, seeing the Spirit of St. Louis and all the planes. It was very good to be such wined and dined by the federal government. So let me close by saying about the family. Priscilla, I don't know if I was too rational about my dating when I started dating after I left seminary, but I thought there'd be two categories of girls I'd like to date: nurses and teachers, because a nurse or a teacher would be great to bring up children. So I almost married a nurse, but then I ended up marrying a teacher, Priscilla, and we had two children, Matt and Judy. Matt went on to Merrimack College, and then he went to LSU, and he became a banker. He has an MBA. He works for a regional bank down in Baton Rouge. And our daughter went on. She got 4 degrees, and she went to Boston. She went to St. Anselm, Boston University, and Northeastern University, and she's a school psychologist, and she works in Andover, Massachusetts. Matt he married a girl that had her marriage annulled, so they got married in the cathedral in St. Louis, I think it's St. Louis Cathedral in Jackson Square, and she had a daughter from the first marriage, and then Matt and Adrian have had 2 sons, and then Judy had a son and a daughter. So we've got 5 grandchildren. And right now, I'm in Maine on vacation. This is Maine. I'm using one of the cottages. I guess the lady that we rent from, her name must be Sally. And so I'm in Wells Beach right now with the family. So thank you very much. And I hope we do have a 60th anniversary meeting in Niagara Falls. Haven't been there for a number of years. Thanks.
Okay, Tom, thank you. And kudos and congratulations to you on that presidential award. That's really special. I think now we're going to head across the ocean, and we're going to go to Paris. Larry, aren't you in Paris right now?
No, do you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I'm actually in the south of France, in a little town called Loris in Provence, where my wife and I have had for the last 10 years a second home. So that's why it's 9 o'clock here. Anyway, I left the Carmelites in 1969, moved my family to Colorado in 1971, went to law school at the University of Colorado, practiced. I was a trial lawyer for 38 years, retired 10 years ago, just about the time that we bought this place in the south of France, where we spend about 4 months a year. We have 4 wonderful children. The oldest is a real estate agent in Denver. The second teaches 25 different piano students, all by Zoom. by the way, starting, a year and a half ago. The third runs a Pilates studio in Marin County, California. And the fourth got the 3-year master's degree in theater from Yale and has done several Broadway plays and TV shows. But of course, the last year and a half, he's been dead in the water because the theater business is dead. But they're wonderful children, and we love them dearly, and they're doing really well under the circumstances. I want to thank Phil Olson and Bob Wechter for letting me know about this meeting. And to conclude, I want to say that to Dave Walsh, that I'm glad he mentioned my introducing him to Monica, because I've always felt over the years that since I introduced Dave to Monica and John Mitchell to Linda Van Essen, now Linda Mitchell for almost 50 years also, and Al Jakovic to Joanne, that when I get to the pearly gates, I'm going to get a really hard question about, why did you keep us from having so many priests? And it was because, there were these wonderful women that needed wonderful spouses. And that's the way it goes. So thanks for setting this up, Regis. I really appreciate it.
Great. Well, thank you, Larry, and thanks to everybody. I guess I missed out, Larry. I went to Rome. and you
Italy's okay too. We like Italy. Yeah, we spend time there too.
Somebody asked me if I spoke Russian. I remember who that was. I want to tell you, did any of you guys take Russian from Michichi in high school? Bob,
did.
you did.
Bob and I did. Yeah.
You both did. Dave, did you take Russian?
Sure.
Dave Walsh, did you take Russian? Oh, Dale did. Dale Penton took Russian. I have to tell you, I took.
Dale did take Russian. I did not take Russian.
Yeah.
Dale did.
Many of us probably took Spanish and then German with Theophane Matz at Niagara, for those of you guys that went there. Looking back on it now, I wish I had taken Russian.
French,
What's
if
that?
I may, Regis, if I may, let me tell you the story of that. Coleman Walsh, who was our rector, walked into the typing class in our senior year, I guess, and looked around the room and pointed to Wechter and myself and who else, Bob? Dale, and a couple of others, and said, "You're taking Russian." And literally, we had to walk out of the classroom, go into another room, and for that semester, we took Russian.
Yeah.
And then I had to learn typing that summer from an LP that my mother insisted that I listen to because she felt that I had to learn how to type.
Yeah, great story. Well, this is my 5th time in Russia, and I've been here since March of last year. I came here basically because I couldn't afford to live on my Social Security and 2 small pensions, and my car rotted out in Maine. It was rusted out, and I'd been to Russia those previous 4 times, and I said, geez, I can live pretty well on, an American kind of retirement thing, Social Security and a couple of small things. And I came to really like it here. And so I came over with the intention of staying probably a year. And then I was hoping to go back each summer to visit with my kids in different parts of the country. 1 week after I got here, COVID struck. Russia sealed up its borders tighter than you can imagine. And
Have you always been in the Crimea?
Yeah, in Yalta. Well, I've traveled all over Russia, but in terms of living for this last year and a half, it's been in Yalta in the Crimea, which have any of you been to Russia, by the way? No? It's in
Petersburg.
Oh, Petersburg. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Petersburg is a really special place. Moscow is like 18, 20 million people, super capitalist, super modern. It's great to see. It's overwhelming. but I could never live in a city like that. It's crazy. And Yalta is, maybe about 80,000 people. It's on the side of a mountain, it's bordered by mountains and the Black Sea. And I've loved it here. It's been really great. And I've continued my filmmaking work here. I've made a number of films and videos hoping to introduce Westerners, especially Americans, to Russia and the Russian people, that they are not anything like what they're being portrayed in the Western media. It's very aggravating to me to keep reading that kind of stuff. And I started doing a podcast. I've done 132 shows in the last year, trying to introduce people to Russia and people from around the world, having just kind of global conversations is what I call it. And just recently, I was approached by some business people here, politically connected people, and they asked me to make a film about Crimean Professional Football League, which is like everything in Crimea under sanctions. And so they're not allowed to participate in European events. And it's really hurt the ownership, the league, the players, their families, and then the whole development thing. And I thought, boy, this is right up my alley. So I'm beginning to work on this film, which I think is probably going to open up a whole new area for me here in the Russian Federation. Anyway, before we quit, because we've gone like 10 minutes over, would anybody like to make any final comments or say anything? And Tom Bond, go ahead.
I just want to, it just popped into my memory. That was the second visit to the White House that I had. The first visit to the White House, I spent a summer from Niagara before I went to Louisville, Kentucky. I went to the University of Maryland at College Park. And one Saturday or Sunday, Larry said to us at lunch, does anybody want to go down to the White House with me? And I said, yeah, I'll go with you. And he knew this secretary who was a CIA. I guess a lot of the staff at the White House is permanent, but when a new president comes in, they bring in their own people, but there's a certain base level. They're just career people. And she was a secretary there, and she was an excellent typist. And Larry was doing his thesis on Saul Bellow, I think.
Very good memory.
So,
and she typed my thesis at the White House.
Yeah, right. So when we got to the White House, luckily President Johnson wasn't there, because this would have never happened. He was in Texas. So one of the guards, I was standing, like he was outside the door where Larry was with the secretary and talking to her about the changes in his typing in his text. And then I started talking to the guard, and I said, I'm here for the summer. I'm going to the University of Maryland at College Park. He said, well, I'm there too, criminal justice. So he says, you ever been into the White House? I said, no. He said, let me show you around. So I remember going into the Oval Office, and the guy said to me, look at the floor. And I'm looking at the floor. He says, do you see anything strange? And I said, no. He said, it's a cork floor that was donated by the country of Portugal. And when President Eisenhower, he had a tee. They practiced golf outside the door. And after he was finished with his practice, he would walk back into the Oval Office with his golf shoes on, and they would leave little holes in the cork. So then we went into the meeting room where the president meets with the cabinet. So then I sat in Johnson's seat. Then I sat in McNamara's seat. He was the Secretary of Defense. Then I sat in Dean Rusk's seat. He was the Secretary of State Secretary. Yeah. And then there was all the others. Yeah. So that was a great visit. So thank you very much, Larry.
Yeah, Larry, you took me on a tour. I was studying Italian that summer at Georgetown University. And I remember what Tom was saying. I couldn't believe the spike marks in that cork floor in the Oval Office. That was amazing. Dave Walsh.
Unfortunately, I think at the reunion with Larry in Chicago, he told us that person that he knew, he stayed in contact with her. I think she passed away
many years ago. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dave Walsh, you're up.
Yeah. As we've talked about, I think all appreciate many of the legacies from Hamilton, and I certainly count myself very fortunate to have spent all those years with the Carmelites and with you guys. One of the legacies, however, lives on. I have 7 grandchildren. One of their favorite things is tell us seminary stories. They cannot believe the things that we went through. And if they have to clean up after they're done, Lupita, who's the youngest, will say, hurry up because Father Pat's going to come and inspect.
We always said when we were in Hamilton, somebody should write a book about this. Dave,
Yeah.
I think you need to write your 21st book. Now, come on.
No.
No. Anybody?
That was one of the thoughts I had with all the experiences that we had. It'd be great collectively to write a book and share the stories and somehow put it in some kind of a format that would be great. The other thought I had is with Larry introducing so many women to our classmates, the thought occurred to me, what is the status of the Carmelite order? Are they active? Are they any more vocations? I have not a clue. I just lost what's going on.
The next time we should recruit like Kevin Leafy to join us. He could give us
Quinn Connors.
kind of an update.
Yeah, Quinn
Kevin-
Connors.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I've been in contact with Kevin for quite a few years now. We became very close. He's traveling. He's on the road right now, and he wanted to partake in this meeting. So Kevin definitely could. I was in for 13 years, and I've maintained contact with Kevin and a number of other older people that many of us knew. A lot of the people that we knew in high school and college they're deceased now. But just briefly, they're really in decline. The vocations, I was in Whitefriars Hall just a few years ago making a film, interviewing somebody from Washington area, and there were no American students there. There was one guy from Germany who's ordained now, and there were several students from the Philippines, Vietnam, and somewhere in Central America. They're not getting anybody. And when you look around, the guys that are left they're a few years older than we are. Not too many younger guys. So Phil,
Ed Ward, who is still in, visited. We had a visit with Ed Ward a couple of years ago, and he was saying, in addition to what you said, Regis, that a lot of the guys coming in don't have the work ethic of the previous generations. So it's not a pretty picture that I hear.
Yeah, and the other thing that I noticed when I was in the hall, nobody was interested in social issues. They're all very clerical. They're concerned about putting on the habit and the vestments and doing the clerical thing. And it was like, I went, oh boy, I was really disappointed. Phil Olson, you wanted to say something.
I was just going to ask, because you mentioned Father Pat, and then you hinted there was a sad story to that, and I've not heard any of that. Did you want to share that with us, or maybe everybody else already knows? No,
go ahead, Dave Walsh.
Well, the short version is one of our classmates, Ted Olson, prior to the Chicago reunion, shared with those of us on the listserv some very, very disturbing experiences he had with Father Pat having to do with sexual identity. And it was a very, very sad and disturbing story that he shared. To the Carmelites' credit, Quinn Connors reached out to me after hearing about that and wanted to get in touch with Ted Olson. And so I think the Carmelites are well aware of some of the allegations. That's the short version. But it's, considering how much sexual abuse there has been among the clergy, I think a lot of us consider ourselves a little bit lucky that we got through all of that without being victimized.
Yeah, and I only remember,
how often I had to wait for the belt maybe I was one of the more rascally ones, but quite often, I mean, Father Pat drove the fear of God in me because of how often I had to get the belt from him,
Yeah. One thing I'll add to that, the Carmelites on the North American province, our province, have published on their website the names of several priests, some of whom we knew and know, who were accused of being pedophiles. It's all part of this movement with orders in different dioceses that they are publishing now the names of people, and Pat Gleason was one of the people that was on it. Anybody else for a final comment?
Let me add on that note, couple about 1992 to 99, I took a job with the Archdiocese of Philadelphia as an administrator for a psychiatric hospital, and it was primarily for clergy and religious. And then we expanded it to Protestant clergy. And the church does not fully disclose everything. So after a few months, we had a small unit, and I'm walking around, and the unit was dedicated to sexual predators. And I'm like, they should be, you got to go to the criminal justice system. So anyway, we were forced to, by the Archdiocese, to expand it. So we were one of 3 facilities in the country, one in Suitland, Maryland, St. Luke's Institute, and another one in Canada that dealt with a lot of the priests and nuns, primarily Catholic priests who abused children. And it was after a while, I had to leave there because after a while, it was a test of my faith. It was just very damaging to see young people coming in, and they were very different from us. They had no concept of, sexuality and respect, and it was just a whole different world. And in fact, the Monsignor whom I know, who was in Philadelphia, was charged. Bill Lynn took the heat for the Cardinal and was put in prison for a number of years. That was the highest ranking Catholic official that was in Philadelphia that was charged. And I don't know, I think he's out of prison now, but that horrific story about sexual abuse in the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody's aware of that. I was in for 13 years and I was out in Arizona, and we never once suspected ever that anybody out there was a pedophile. But these guys would be sent there from Chicago, from Philadelphia, from Boston, and they'd be sent out to the Indian reservations or into a remote Mexican-American community. And we were saying, Jesus, what is going on here? Nobody ever expected that it was pedophilia. We always thought, because the church has always kind of covered up this kind of thing forever. And we thought, basically, they must have been guilty of, one, they fathered a child, some other scandal, or they embezzled money. They were alcoholics, and they embezzled money. Never did we ever think. And it turns out, looking back on it, there were several guys that I knew, not Carmelites, who were convicted and went to jail. In fact, I interviewed a woman, an attorney. Some of you guys that are attorneys will probably relate to this. She's a woman from Texas, Sylvia Demarest. She prosecuted the Catholic Church in Texas, and she won, I don't know how many convictions and millions of dollars paid out. And I did her story in an interview. It was just incredible. The response that one got was more than really what I could have expected. But yeah, it's something that I think, as Dave said, we were lucky that I think most of us escaped that. Well, here's my concluding thought. A couple of guys have said it'd be great if, we could collect some stories and write a book. As a filmmaker, this is a bias, obviously, but more people are watching videos and YouTubes than are reading books these days. Right. And I'm going to record every single one of these things. And if we do them in the future, and you guys decide that we want to talk about stories, the stories that Dave was talking about, I mean, I can record all of those things, and then I can edit that and put it together, and we can keep it private amongst ourselves, or people can share it with whoever they want. the final thought is this is a question. I know there were several other people on this list that did want to participate because they told me that. Would those of you that are here today, and I think we're 12 of us, would you want to continue this in a month or so?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to mention that I think if you want to pick a different, the weekends can tend to be busy for people.
Yeah.
So rather than doing it on a Sunday, possibly a Thursday or Wednesday evening time period, you might, I could be wrong, of course, that'd be difficult for Larry. He'll be, 4 o'clock in the morning for him or something, but you can give that some consideration, or perhaps in your, when you send your next notice around, put like 3 possible choices and let the people respond to which one they would prefer.
Yeah.
What time is it in Utah?
Obviously, most of us are retired, so it really doesn't matter. It certainly doesn't matter to me. And it's not really a problem. Larry's in France. He's an hour behind me. I'm on Moscow time, so there's 7 hours difference. But, anytime really from, 1 o'clock to 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon would really, I think, work great for everybody. So certainly we'll do that. I'll send that out in the next email. But I'd really want to ask each of you who have reached out to others and know others that probably wanted to be here, do it again. Let them know we had a great visit. This has really worked out fine. And I will send each of you the link. And I think I was distracted and I didn't start recording until I think we get down to Dave Wall. But everybody will be able to see everybody that's on here and everybody that talked in the gallery format. The next time I won't do this gallery thing. I'll do the speaker preference. So whoever speaks is going to fill up the majority of the screen. It'll be much more interesting in terms of turning it into a video that I can edit and produce later. So thanks to everybody. This has been really, really wonderful. I think it's really enriching for me anyway. And I think most of you at this point in our lives to reconnect. The bond has been strong. And I think it's real. So take care of everybody and we'll see you the next time.
Thank you.
So long, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
see
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.